All right. I'd like to welcome Dr. Persuasion himself, Dr. Yaniv Zaid, to the Business of Fun podcast.
Hi, Dave. How are you? It's great being here, and I
well,
heard lots of your chapters, and I thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, no, this is exciting. I was telling you before we started that doing my research, which I like to do, is there's a lot of stuff here that we're talking about that is stuff that I cover a lot, and it's great to have somebody with your background here to talk about it because I think it's going to give everybody a really, really cool perspective. So I am super excited to have a chance to talk. Um, so I want to start with because you have a new book out, and it's called The 21st Century Sales Bible. And I want to start there because I have been I don't want to say I like this. You just wave it around in front of I like this. You wave it up here for me. I have been really interested in how sales is changing to meet the changing environment because a lot of times when I'm working with people or I'm teaching students in my class or engaging with people, they talk to me about the sales process. And I think that for a lot of people, there's a frustration with the sales process because the things that maybe historically worked aren't working the same way they always did. So then people want to understand how they can be better at sales because until you make a sale, nothing happens. So when you presented your book to me, I was like, oh, this is great. So can you tell us, from your standpoint, what is the 21st century sales Bible and what does that mean? Like, how is this different than anything sales related we've known before?
Yeah, okay. So the 21st Century Sales Bible is my new release book. I wrote 11 books so far, 6 in Hebrew and 5 in English. This book was translated so far to 11 languages and it's sold all over the place. And it's about 10 chapters, 10 commandments on how to become the best salesperson and best manager you can be, how to move people to action, how to make clients buy from you and not from your competitors, how to build your brand, your personal brand, which is something I think is very relevant in the 2024 and the following years, because today people buy from people, not from businesses, and they buy from you if they like you and they trust you and they know you, and then they rely on you and then they will choose you and not other people. And I'm talk about a lot about authenticity. So you said what is the difference now and 10, 20 years ago. I've been doing this, business consulting and lectures and workshops about sales and marketing and presentation and negotiation for the last 20 years. And certainly the climate is changing, and the market is changing. And today I would say that clients, they have a fake radar or bullshit radar, that if you say something that is not authentic or it's not true or based on data that is not true, then people will notice it. Even if they won't check the data, they feel that you say to them something wrong. So today I talk about being authentic because most people, when they hear the word sales, they think about negative word. Let's manipulate someone else, maybe lie to someone else, maybe some fake reality, or wrap up the product or service or something like that. And I will say, if you have some good offer for your clients, if you believe in your product and services, if you believe in yourself, then you should definitely offer. You maybe change the word sales to the word offering, to offer someone something. And the model, the business model I operate and I teach is based on 4 steps. It's 10 chapters, 10 commandments, but 4 steps: know, like, trust, and then buy. So first step is people need to know you. You need to be relevant in the market. You need to put yourself in front of clients, in front of audience. You need to, to market yourself. You need to have a digital identity, even if you don't like social media. But if your clients are in the social media, you need to be there. Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Telegram, Twitter, LinkedIn, everywhere. I believe in being in as many platforms as possible. Just write, messages 2-3 times a week and then spread it out in all your platforms. You need to lecture. You need to provide workshops. You need to network a lot in many places, offline and online. Okay. So first step is to be relevant in your market, to be in the game. This is step number 1. The people can get to know you. And then step number 2 is people need to like you. Now, how can I like you even if I didn't meet you yet, or if I didn't buy from you yet? I can like you if I saw a movie on YouTube, movie on TikTok, your movie, okay, and there was a chemistry between us. I can like you if I wrote a professional article and I say, okay, I like this guy, he hits the target, he writes about what I think anyway. I can like you if I, for example, got a referral, you got a refer, someone referred me to you or something like that. So I don't know you, but I know the person who referred to me. And this is step number 2. I need to like you. So you need to provide personal attention, and I talk about it a lot in my lectures and workshops in my book, how to create personal attention to people even if you have little time with them. And then step number 3 is to trust them. So after I know you, I know that you exist in the market, that you are relevant or you are alternative for me. Your products and services are alternative for my to be a solution to my problems. Then, and I like you, I have a personal chemistry with you. Then I need to trust you. Okay, not enough that you are a good guy. I need to know that you actually walk the talk and you can actually help me. So how can I trust you even if I wasn't a paying customer yet? Here comes social proof. Social proof is a very, very powerful tool. I deal a lot with it in my book. Social proof is how to tell you about, objective evidence of my activities so far, my achievements, my former certificates, my education, my former clients that I helped, some case studies that I have been through, a lot of things that I can tell you, or I can show to you, or I can write to you, or I can show you, diplomas or something like that you will feel safe working with me because I already worked with someone else, or I already, or I walk the talk and I have also a personal story that combines with my tools that I teach you or something like that. So only after a client went through step number 1 to know you, and then step number 2 to like you, and then step number 3 to trust you, only then they buy from you for the first time. And if they're happy, then, and we're going to talk about it maybe in a few minutes, you can sell more and more and to have a long-term relationship with them.
Oh, this hits all of my sweet spots here. So this is great. One of the things that struck me was the trust idea, and you need to be able to trust somebody. And you talked about all these different ways that people can kind of trust you even if they don't know you. And it's interesting. I bring that up because this is interesting to me because for a long time I just wrote, right? I would write and I would speak at conferences. And one of the challenges that I had was that because I wrote a lot and I do a lot of research and things would be, I wouldn't say professorial because I wasn't a teacher at that point. I was just more of a smartass than anything else. People thought I was distant, and it built a barrier. And then as soon as I started doing the podcast where people could understand my personality and realize no, he's not distant. He's just a smart ass, and he's kind of everything's sort of tongue in cheek and a little bit poking fun at himself and the world around him. It made it a lot easier. And so I want to ask you, how do you teach people to be comfortable trying out these different personas and these different ways of engaging with people? Because I think that the example of it doesn't have to be just one way. There's not one way of doing it. There's many, but a lot of times people don't try it because they feel like if they make one mistake, then it's just not for them.
Yeah. Well, Dave, I believe it's the key point is balance. You need to balance and you need to feel comfortable with what you do. There is not one solution for everyone. And I go back to authenticity, because you need to be authentic, and you need to do something because you want to, not because, other people on social media, they do it, because otherwise it won't work. The universe won't let it happen, the karma, whatever you believe in. So, and by the way, it's funny you mentioned it, because I'm 47 years old now, and I started very, very young. I established my company when I was 23 years old, and I started succeeding. And when I was very young, I almost didn't tell any personal story about myself. It was also a different era, 24 years ago, no social media and etc. But I didn't tell. You can hear lots of my lectures, and you couldn't know I couldn't tell if I am, married or single, gay or straight, have kids or not kids, what are my hobbies. You didn't know anything about me. I focus on professionalism. I said to myself, when you came to hear a lecture about public speaking or about persuasion, I will provide you tools about persuasion. What do you care about me or about my personal stories? And as the time went by, I noticed that people are interested to hear about me and about my personal life and about my personal professional life. They would like to hear stories behind the scenes, maybe even not even personal stories, but personal stories, professional stories, what happened with my clients, or what happened behind the curtain or something like that. And I started to share more and more stories. By the way, I also saw my colleagues, other mentors, other lecturers telling stories, and the crowd loved it. So I said, okay, I would like to embrace it myself. But yet I didn't do it in full capacity. I didn't tell everything. I all the time tried to see in which stories I feel comfortable with and which not, and what I would like to reveal to my audience or clients and which not. And today I'm more open than I was 10 years ago, and 10 years ago I was more open than 20 years ago. But still, I don't reveal all the information. But personal chemistry, personal attention, of course, if people feel comfortable talking to you, sending you email, approaching you, or even engage you in the social media, then it's great. And we don't just sell, our knowledge, we sell ourselves as well, because knowledge is everywhere. You can feel, the internet is full of knowledge and full of practical tools, but every one of us, we bring our unique perspective. For example, I'm, Jewish business person, I'm from Israel, startup nation, so I bring a very different perspective, unique perspective than you, for example, you're born American and from Washington. Yeah. So we need to be proud of it, not we need to embrace it, not hide it.
Yeah, we're of a similar age, and I remember it took me a long time to be comfortable. I mean, now I'm like a complete whore about it, because I'm like, because you have to, right? Because again, if you're small business guys, right? If we're not selling ourselves, then nobody else is really doing it. And so you have to be a lot more comfortable. And the idea of like personalization in the sales process, I think there's a myth, and I may be wrong, because this is more your area of expertise than it would be mine. So I'm curious about this. There is a myth that like you can't be both professional and personal, and and I don't buy it, because then like you're talking about like stuff you share in the personal stories. It's like people come up to me at like a conference or like class or wherever, or like even people I work with, and like they haven't done any of this stuff. They ask about my dog, Penny the Bulldog. They ask about my son, Cormac, who's like, in his soccer career, because I talk about his soccer career all the time. And they ask about my partner, Catherine, because they know about them, because I talk about them, right? And this, again, I'm not telling you everything, but I mean, I am like opening it up a little bit. So that like, my dog is nuts. So everybody wants to do it. Is that barrier between professional and personal, is that as important as people sometimes think it is, or is it sort of like a needless thing that people do, is like more like a defense mechanism?
I think it's connected. Personal and professional life are connected, especially if you are a one-man show or you're a personal brand. By the way, today also big companies, they also do personalization, personal branding. For example, Jeff Bezos from Amazon, okay? If you are an Amazon client, and probably you and I are Amazon clients, we're never going to meet probably Jeff Bezos, he's not going to talk to us on the call center or something like that. But we know a lot about his life, Mark Zuckerberg and all the other leaders. So today, even companies, small, medium businesses and big companies and huge organizations, they put on front, the CEOs, the CFOs, in the public. And if you see a startup, on TV, usually they interviewed, the one who established the startup or something like that. So today it's a very, very effective tool for marketing. So especially if you're a one-man show, but even if you're a big company, then you are the product. People buy your knowledge. They would like to pick up your brain, but they would like also to hear it from you. Okay. And by the way, I have a dog and I have 2 sons. Okay. And I almost don't talk about I'm going to reveal a secret, because I usually don't talk or write about my dog or my 2 sons. and people don't know them and don't know what they're about.
Yeah.
Sometimes I have clients who I feel connected to or close to, and we're going to talk to share information because we both have dogs, we both have sons with a parenting dilemma or something like that. But most people, they don't know about this personal data about me. So I think everyone should find their own balance. We agree that personalization is important. We agree that we can share. We need to share some personal information about us, but everyone will choose their limits and their lines.
Yeah, I don't even know where it came that I started to I felt more comfortable. I mean, and again, it's like there are limits. Like, everybody doesn't know everything, but I mean, I do feel comfortable talking about, some of these things, right? Which is because there also is and I think this is similar for you and me, is because it's we're maybe one-man shops. I don't know if you're a one-man shop, but then it's there's that holistic thing. And so I get it. I think to me, the most important thing that I want people to take out of this is don't be afraid to introduce that personality, because a lot of times, even it's, a lot of the people who listen to this podcast historically are selling sports and entertainment, the theater. It's a really good opportunity for you to connect with people about what you loved that got you into this thing.
Yeah,
what you still love about it, right? How it plays for you, because you forget you're so close to it and people don't have the same connection to it. And I think, to me, when we talk about personalization, it's a way to build a bridge, right? It's a way to make, you said people are buying our expertise, which is 100% true in our point of view. A lot of times, because you're the expert, that there is there can be a gap, a distance between you. And I think what that means is that people, you expect that people know exactly what you know, even though it's not the truth. So using the personal stories can make it easier to bridge that gap. Or am I wrong?
Yeah. No, you are right, because people would like to hear, behind the scenes stories. We are all curious. By the way, there is a line of lectures in high tech, in the high tech world. It's called the fuck up nights. Okay, fuck up nights is a line of lectures. Entrepreneurs, they tell the stories about about failures, about the way they've been through, about the lab hours, the things that usually the media don't coverage, and people don't talk about it. Now the twist here is usually it's in my first company, I lost $100 million for my investors. My second company, I got divorced and background. My third company is called Facebook, something like that. So usually it's not like first company I lost $100 million. Second company, I got divorced and background, and today I'm homeless. I live next to your door. Something like that. Usually it's a failure, success. But people, they need to know about this, about this mechanism, and about the lab hours. It's something very interesting. I tell my clients all the time, and this is very important for our audience, be Batman, not Superman. Okay? Now, what is the difference? Because Batman and Superman, they are both superheroes. They both look like human beings. But actually, Superman is not a human being. He's, he came from another planet, for Krypton, and he's not human being. So if Superman will have a workshop how to fly, and I will sit in the first row and write everything and listen to everything, and he actually is going to explain, go to the highest building, go to the roof, check the wind, check the first step, something like that, and I will do exactly what he says, I'm going to fall because I don't have the power. But if Batman is going to deliver a lecture how to fly, and then he's going to tell me, well, Yaniv, I was exactly like you. Even I have worse life because the Joker killed my parents, murdered them when I was young, and I fell into a cave, and I was afraid of bats and afraid of darkness. And here I am, and look what I've developed, the ability to fly, and I'm going to teach you. Then I feel connected with them because they have a Cinderella story, or they have, they're Batman, not Superman. They are fragile, they're not like, they don't have superpowers that I don't have. So if, for example, I teach people how to speak in front of an audience, I teach public speaking. So if I will say, well, if you are Dr. Yaniv Zaid and you know to speak great, okay? Shame on you that you didn't born Dr. Yaniv Zaid, so never mind. But no, if I say this, I won't have clients. But if I will say, look my way, I also felt embarrassed at the beginning. I also improved myself. So let me teach you the way I did, and then you can feel connected to me. And again, it's also a balance, because one of the ways I treated the let's say the intersection between my personal life and my professional life is that I told many stories behind the scenes about my professional life. For example, it's like, let's say personal, professional. For example, people expect us to, if we are experts, people expect our unique perspective, and also they expect us to walk the talk, you know. So if I, for example, a marriage consultant, I better not be divorced 5 times, you know, if I consult people how to stay married, okay? Or if I, for example, teach diet, you know, lectures about diet, maybe if I am fat, it won't help my business, okay? So what I told stories about, for example, how I sold my car, okay? Because usually when you sell your car, immediately you give a discount, you know, and usually you sell it in a lower amount than what you bought it or something like that. But I always manage to sell my cars in a higher number than what I bought a few years ago. So this is a story that I tell my clients in lectures, and it's a personal story, but you know, it reflects of my capabilities in sales and marketing, and show my community that I walk the talk, you know.
100%, because I talk about, when I talk the personal stories, branding and strategy, I go, listen, I'm a one-man person, one-man business in Washington, D.C., and yet I've worked with people all over the world. So I was like going, if I don't understand, I was like, you know how hard that is to do.
Yeah.
So if you know, I know branding and strategy, right? And it's exactly true. Now, one of the things that I keep hearing here too is, it's a lot of, you're talking about framing, right? And you're talking about, you know, your mindset and the way you approach, the processes. One thing I did, you cover in your workshops and you talk about a little bit is getting the ability to get people to snap out of the wrong mindsets and the wrong frame of mind. I think you call it polarizing messages.
Yeah.
Can you talk to us about that?
Yeah, I think in every business, especially if you are, if you work alone or with few employees, but even if you run a big company, and I also work with big companies and small and medium businesses, the positive thinking is very, very important, you know, and to be mental strong, you know. I've come from Israel. We are at a war for a year from now, but our economy is, you know, is struggling, but it's in a very good shape relatively to the fact that we are surrounded by enemies and we have 7 front lines and a war or something like that, because we are built to be mentally strong, you know. So this is something I teach everywhere, how to be mentally strong, because, you know, there is always the challenges in life. Even if in regular life you have personal challenges, professional challenges, you have things that you didn't expect, you know. If you're self-employed, if you are small, medium business owners, you know the feeling. If you are a big manager, that every morning you come, you have a plan, and then you know everything is not usually according to your plans. And if you take COVID, for example, you know, that shook the world, and you see wars, you see climate changes, elections, everything that all the time you need to struggle, you need to overcome changes. So if you have positive thinking, if you're optimistic, I think something every entrepreneur must have, optimism. You know, I work a lot with startups, you know. If you build a startup, you try to raise money, to raise capital. Obviously, you have to be very, very optimistic, because you're going to change other people. You know, you invested time, money, and energy for the last 5 years in your product or service or idea, but you need now to persuade someone else to invest in you, to believe in you. Then if you won't believe in yourself very, very strongly, and if you won't, be optimistic, you know, and with positive thinking, it won't work, because people are they react to positive energy and to negative energy as well. So it's something that I teach and I repeat over and over again to my clients. No matter, you know, all the time I'd say, if you have a plan, then go with your plan. Never mind, you know, the banks, you know, the government. Don't wait for everyone. Don't wait for the climate to change and the government to change and the taxes to get to be lower, something like that. Just, you know, create your own reality and be the best version of yourself all the time. This is something very important in my eyes.
Yeah, there's never going to be a perfect time.
Yeah.
So you just, and stick to your plan is like really great message, because most of the time the people get jammed up because they're like a little bit flapping in the wind, a little bit like they don't have that sort of spine. You know, I call it a through line when I teach it, but you know, it's just like damn it, I'm going to get to that destination, right? And then, you get pushed around, but you're like, oh, I'm still going straight through. Which brings me to another thing you talked about, because I don't have, take that back. You had on your website you talked about, for your workshops, you talked about the blue ocean, and I was reading the blue ocean articles right now. And you're finding opportunities in any situation.
Yeah.
I think this was probably, like, for most people listening, this is going to be like a little more of a personal question. This is for me, not for not for people listening. So, but how do you get people to understand this? Because I have a take on what I think the blue ocean means, and it doesn't matter how you do it, because when I teach a workshop, I talk about, like, and listen, you got to have an understanding of why people are buying from you, why people are picking you over the whole rest of the world, which is blue ocean, or whatever you call it. How do you approach that? How do you approach looking at opportunity, and how do you teach people to see that, like, you don't have to be like everybody else? Because I think that's what that means.
Yeah. First of all, opportunities are everywhere, and networking you can do everywhere. Networking you also do, in the class of your kids, when you go to a parents' day, and networking you'll also do when you go shopping, and networking if you go on stand online, in bus station or train station, you can start talking to someone. I think the key for better communication with others is to love people. If you love people, if you care about people, if you are interested in people, if you are curious with other people, and you can listen to other people, then you have lots of opportunities everywhere. People, the fact that you listen to them, you talk to them, you initiate contact with them, they will love it, because most people don't do it. So I think tip number one for succeeding in sales and marketing is love your audience, love your customers, love people. And the second tip is don't assume, don't have basic assumptions. Okay, I see you probably are poor. I see the clothes you wear. I won't offer you, the boutique clothes, or the pricey clothes, because probably you can't afford it. Or this girl came to the shop for the fifth time. Oh, she's just going to not to waste my time. No, maybe she needed to be more mature in her buying in the last 4 times, and now she's came ready to buy. So don't assume. So everywhere you go, in the gym, in the supermarket, everywhere you can create opportunities. Now, what is the opportunity? It's different from one person to another. For example, if I would like to market myself, I need to identify my ideal clients. For example, I say I would like to work with business owners, small and medium business owners, and entrepreneurs, and startup entrepreneurs, or something like that. Okay, so what I need to do is, wherever I go, I need to open my ears, open my eyes, and look for those guys, so I can find, maybe I can sit next to a parent in my kid's ceremony and start talking to them, and then she will say, oh, my husband just opened a company, or something like that, and then I can share some information, send some maybe materials later, and maybe you can have again, we talked about know, like, trust. So there is one person sitting next to me already. I didn't do anything for this to happen, but it's an opportunity. The universe send us help. So now they know me because they know what I do, and I send some marketing material. They like me because they feel comfortable with me, because we have something in common, because both our kids learn in the same class. And they trust me because now they saw some social proof of mine, because I sent them some documents. Okay, so now they will prefer working with me, a neighbor who they know and they see every day in school, than to just Google some consultant and go to someone else. So again, networking meaning to have a great net of connections, personal connection, professional connection, business connection. So just go and look for the opportunities. And another tip I also give all the time to business owners or to managers is go outside of your office, go outside of your house, meet people, even if in the digital era, okay, especially in the digital era, there are many opportunities out there offline, because many people, I call it they stay behind the screen, they hide behind the screen.
Yeah.
So and it's more comfortable, by the way. Yeah, but there will be a connection. For example, we talk on Teams, on Zoom, we see each other on the screen. But if we've met and we broadcast it together from the same studio, then some magic would happen, because if you meet people face to face, something else matters. I know I lecture offline and online and do lots of Zoom or worldwide lectures, and also I go all over the world to lecture. And there is lots of magic face to face with an audience. You can compare between those two platforms. I always choose meeting people face to face, and I strongly recommend it.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's it can work either way. And what I found the secret sauce is like to use things like this. So then the next time I'm in Israel, I have a new friend that I can hang out with and meet. And so I try to always I look at it like a loop and keep it going, because it's great, because there is like real magic in just being able to like go have a coffee with somebody, go have a lunch, go have a drink with somebody, go, do whatever. I take walks with people too when I'm out in this thing, whatever. It's great. And so getting outside is
by the way,
totally awesome.
The digital era did open us lots of opportunities that weren't exist before. For example, I have many people that I connect for years, and I haven't met them personally. We connect by Zoom, we connect by phone, we connect by emails. We have great connections, but we didn't met even once face to face. Okay, because they live in a far country, or because we don't have time or something like that. So, and still we cooperate, still we refer to each other clients, still we we host each one in the podcast or something like that.
Yeah. So another thing which kind of ties into all this, and I made a note for it, and then I put 2 or 3 exclamation points next to it, because this is one that I am guilty of, very, very guilty of, is using humor. And usually I try to turn it at myself. I try to make fun of my own lack of hair or things of this nature. How do you teach people about humor? Because it's kind of it can be tricky.
Yeah, humor is a very powerful tool, by the way, and everyone can be funny. Not necessarily you need to tell a joke. You can tell a funny story. By the way, a joke is more difficult to tell. By the way, to tell how to tell a joke, the last line, the last sentence of a joke, it's called the punchline. So you need to tell the punchline good. You can tell all the joke word by word in a good manner, and then the punchline you didn't say in the right smile or the right tone or the right speed, and you messed all the joke up. Okay, so to tell a joke, it's more difficult to teach, or to learn. But to tell a funny story, it's great. And usually, if you look at it in a funny perspective, then most of our life is fun. You can find a humor angle, a humor perspective in every situation. There are humor about wars, humor about about politics, humor about everything, that a lot of subjects that are serious, but you can tell stories about. And even if, for example, if you tell a story with the little details, with the small details, and you can tell it and the story is funny, that something happened to you and you laughed at, then share it with everyone. Because if, for example, I had a connection with some client and he was very satisfied with my service, okay? Who knows it? Just me and him right now, right? But if I'm going to share the story on my Facebook, or he can write a recommendation or testimonial to me, and then I'm going to publish it on my social media, then I turn the story from one-on-one, just 2 people knowing it, to to everyone knows the story. And there's something very, very good. So I highly recommend for you to use humor. It not necessarily tell jokes, but also funny stories. And there is also a way to how to. I also teach how to tell jokes. There is also a way. And if you like comedy, if you like to listen to comedians, even politicians who tell a joke once in a while, then be like that and embrace it.
Yeah, I have a friend, a guy called Paul Marks, and Paul Marks taught me about humor, because this is what he studies. He's Dr. Paul Marks even. But 30% increase in your ability to retain information, but if it's wrapped in humor. And I was like, so ever since then I have been like, let me figure out a way to make something humorous out of this. And so I bring that up because you also talk about the right ways to use data to make your point.
Yeah.
So I've just tricked everybody by telling them it's 30% increase in retention if you use some humor. Yeah. But what about you? What's your relationship with data? Because I sometimes struggle with that, because I have a lot of data. I do a lot of research. I get a lot of numbers and a lot of research sent to me. how do you teach people to use data? Because I feel like we're overwhelmed by it, and like using it well is the difference between productive and overwhelming, at least to me.
Yeah. So first of all, I did lots of research and I studied lots of data and also I consume lots of data. But when I use data in lectures and workshops, I usually tell stories. I don't try to talk about all the research and all the data because it will bore the audience or it will bore the other party. I always try to focus on the relevant information for the other side, whether it's many people in lecture or one-on-one. And I also tell stories about the data. So, by the way, if people they trust you and people look up to you and they say, "Wow, he's a doctor, he's a professor, he's a psychiatrist, he's a psychologist, psychological or something like that, or he's very good at what he does, and I can understand him, and the messages are clear," then you are even more admired, because if you're someone with no education and you tell simple stories, then it's obvious. If you are a professor and you will say, Samalat, don't talk about data in a not so precise manner, then it's also obvious. But if you are very, very smart and you manage to explain things to people that are not from your area, then they highly appreciate it. So I use data just what is relevant for the target audience, and I try to keep it as simple as possible and try to tell lots of stories because, again, stories and jokes. People they keep the audience or clients, they keep them awake, they keep them understand, they have personal chemistry, and they feel related to you. Because if you are, just someone far that knows lot more than me in a certain area, I'm not connected to you. But if you manage to teach me things that I didn't know before, and I can teach them others, then I will remember you for life. By the way, this is also a tool for viral marketing, because if I taught you something that you didn't know, and now you can remember the story, the data, and you share it with others, then you will sit, with your spouse few days from now, or with your students, and you will say, "Well, I heard a lecture by Dr. Yaniv Zaid, and he mentioned a very, very funny story, or he mentioned some data. Let me tell you about it." And my name came up, a few days from now. So you are now good ambassador for me, just because you learned something new from me.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. It is the stories and the jokes and the connections. It reminds me of this thing that I'm sure you do cover it, even though it's not something that like you maybe talk about regularly, is a lot of times people feel like they have to lord their knowledge over everybody and like talk in an elevated way. And I've always, and sometimes people will go, "Well, you teach it to us, or you make it seem like it's like a third grader." And I go, "Well, then I've done a really nice job for you, because what I've taught you is actually pretty complicated."
Yeah.
Yeah. Is that similar to the way that you approach and I know it is, because I've just talked to you for about 45 minutes.
Yeah, everything is connected, because it is exactly what I said earlier about Batman and not Superman. Because if I'm Superman, if I'm very, very smart and very, very highly educated in this field, and you won't ever reach my level, okay? And I try to teach you something, I teach it in a very patronizing way, okay, and I try to make you feel stupid or at least think that I'm smarter than you, then you won't feel connected, because I make you feel bad, and today is quite the opposite. Today you would like people to feel good with you, to feel great with you, even if they don't have your education or your alternatives or your money or etc. So again, if you love people, you don't patronize on them, you just be authentic, and you just tell stories, and you laugh a lot, and you laugh about yourself. By the way, one of the tips of comedians is first laugh about yourself in the beginning of the show, and only then you have the legitimacy to laugh at other people. If I go to the stage and say, "Okay, hi everyone, you're ugly, you're blonde, you're stupid, you're something like that," then everyone will get insulted. But immediately I start talking about myself, about that my girlfriend left me, etc. And then after I laugh about myself and all the crowd laughs, then I can start laughing at other people. I have legitimacy.
Yes, absolutely. Well, let me ask you this before I let you go. I'm sure that people are going to want to buy the book, The 21st Century Sales Bible. Yeah. Oh yeah. I want to make sure I wrote it down. But where else can people find you? Because I know that like there's tons of like lectures, all kinds of great stuff on you. So where should we point you?
Well, my website is drpersuasion.com. It's drpersuasion.com. So on my website, you can find many articles, links to my YouTube channel. By the way, YouTube channel is Yaniv Zaid, Yaniv Zaid. And also my book, The 21st Century Sales Bible, you can find it on Amazon, online, many bookstores, and also in offline bookstores in North America, and also worldwide. It also was published in China, Russia, Vietnam, India, many countries. And also, I feel free to ask me any question you may have. My personal email is yaniv@yanivzaid.com, YANIV@yanivzaid.com. So please feel free to ask me any question you may have, and I will answer everyone. Like I said, I love people, I love audience, I love to spread my knowledge. And my mission in life is to help, lecturers succeed more with the lecture, and authors succeed more with the books, and entrepreneurs to succeed in their startups, and business owners to succeed more in their business and to increase their income. And this is my mission in life, and I love it very much. So feel free to be in touch and connect with me. All of my social media, Yaniv Zaid, and I will be happy to answer.
Yeah, no, that's great. That mission is totally awesome, because I tell people it's like very similar to mine. It's like I want people to do better because it gives them more stability. And if they have more stability and power, it makes the world just like a lot better, because then there's not all this nonsense and fighting going on. It's been a pleasure to talk to you.
Thank you very much, Dave. Also a pleasure. Thank you very much, and hopefully you can see soon each other.
All right, we are